And hi, everybody, and welcome to the Bob Show here on KYCA. We got a really special show for you today, and I'm glad you tuned in because I know you got lots to do and lots of different things going on all the time. But I hope you spend the next hour with us. I'm going to give the phone number out right away. So those of you who have been around for a while might want to call in and talk to this person that I'm going to introduce you to here in just a second. And the phone number here is area code 928 541 1016. And Scotty will answer the phone and we'll put you on the air if you call in. And I want to introduce our guest today, and somebody who, if you've been around for a while, and if you haven't been around for a while, you need to listen because stuff's going to come out that you probably never thought would happen in Prescott, Arizona. And this person is Dayton Rutkowski. Dayton, how the heck are you?
I'm doing well, Robert. It's great to see you, Mr. Rowicker.
Yeah.
No, it's Wrecker, right?
Yeah, it's Wrecker, yeah.
Yeah, you've had trouble with that for many years.
Yeah, I have, yeah. Lamerson never gets it right. Yeah.
Well, it's hard.
Well, Dayton over here did a show on KYCA we were talking before the show started, for 5 years.
Yes,
You're on every day.
Every morning, 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. Right before Rush.
Before Rush Limbaugh.
I tried to build the audience for him. So
Yeah.
We'd have somewhere to go with it. Yeah, I was on 5 years. It was brand new to me. It was after I left office.
You'd already finished being the mayor.
And
that was the next thing I was going to tell everybody that's listening right now. Dayton was mayor in the city of Prescott from 1991 to 1995. I asked him just before the show started.
Right.
And those were kind of momentous times. There were things going on all over the place back then.
Yeah, there was a lot. That was an area of big growth at that time. We brought Prescott Lakes in, that subdivision, and there were several that were coming in. There was a lot of opposition at the time. Of course, always a no growth factor.
Sure.
People wanted to slow it down or whatever, and you can try whatever you want to try, and you can't really stop it. So it's back again now in another 30-year cycle. Seems like that we're in that big growth pattern. There's been a lot of them, but it was a busy time back then. We did not nearly have the budget that they have now.
No.
So when we first took office, that was when Frontier Village opened. At the same time that I think I was sworn in, I think that's the day they turned the lights on.
Which is on the Yavapai Indian Reservation.
And there was no city sales tax.
Right.
And at the same time, Walmart was on the reservation at that time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So all of our local merchants were down 40, 50%. And so we had to battle through that. But we had a great council, kind of a different kind of council. They weren't all dressed up in suits and ties and looking beautiful.
Yeah.
But they were mostly working people. A couple retired guys, a couple women. People, Karen Thompson was on there.
Yeah.
Karen Thompson fan, was it? Right.
Ken Bennett was on for a while.
Ken Bennett was on in the 80s.
In the 80s. Okay, he was on before you were then.
Right. I ran at the same time. We ran in 86 with a group called the Prescott Forward with Mr. Sam Steiger, which there's still a lot of people don't know who he was.
I know. I know.
Because there's so many new people, they go, Sam who?
Yeah.
I don't know who Sam Steiger. Well, he was a landmark in this community.
Absolutely.
And he was an icon.
He was an icon. Well, the crosswalk on Whiskey Row is because of Sam Steiger.
Right. They took it out. The state decided we didn't want it. So we owned a bar at that time. My wife Jackie and I ran a bar, the Copper Penny Saloon. Mm-hmm. And one Friday evening, so we were having happy hour or whatever. Here he comes, running through the bar. He says, "Come on, Rutkowski, we're going to go paint that crosswalk." And I go, "Whoa, we are? Okay." So I went with him. And there is a picture of me kind of in the background looking over somebody's shoulder, kind of thinking. But he was out there whipping it up, painting that thing.
Yep.
So he was a character. He was someone you should read about.
He was a unique individual. I kind of connected with him a little bit, and he wrote a book. Let's kill all the lawyers.
Kill the lawyers.
And it was in the local bookstore for a while, I know. And he got in trouble for painting the crosswalk, And he went to court,
Represented himself.
represented
Yeah.
himself, and he was found not guilty.
Sure, you couldn't find him guilty. The first time I met Sam Steiger, he was, he's a former congressman for
His
those
years.
of you don't know.
Yeah.
A war hero. He did a lot of stuff in the war. First time I met him was in 73 or 74. I was coming to Prescott as a mortgage banker. Once a week I'd come up, and my office got a call in Phoenix. I was living in Phoenix. Said Sam Steiger wants to buy a house use his VA loan. Would you go up and take his loan application? So I drove up on a Sunday and went to his house, where he was mixing Bloody Marys while I was taking his loan application.
Yeah.
And that was, which was okay with me at the
Yeah.
time, So, but that's how I met him. And he was a mentor as far as politics for me. He told me certain things that if I do, I will not lose. If you do this, you will guaranteed to win this election. So I did it all, and I did it double.
Yeah.
And I still lost the election. But that was all right. That's when I swore I'd never run for office again.
Yeah,
Because,
but you did.
but yeah, I did. It's always something that irritates you,
Yeah.
So, oh, you sold the fire station downtown and moved it out White Spar Road. Now, does that make sense to you? No, now we need a presence downtown. We don't. Oh, come on. There was so many dumb things going on.
Oh, geez.
A lot of issues. The biggest thing I'm proud of with our council in the 90s was we started the initiative to buy the lakes, to buy Watson Lake, buy Willow
Lake. Yep.
We started negotiating with the Chino Valley Irrigation District, led by Mark Stevens, our great city manager.
Sure.
And there's 284 shareholders of that water. So it was a long negotiation. But that was the beginning of it, and probably the biggest thing I'm pleased about during that.
Yeah, and now here they are, and they're preserved, and the city owns all the property around it.
Yeah,
and
1,000 acres was out there.
Yeah, so
And of course, we at the time were debating if we had enough open space.
yeah,
You got a 1,000-acre lake within the city limits. Okay, that's quite a bit of open space right there.
well,
No,
when I was on council, we also bought open space, and the Dells was the big thing that people wanted, and we still don't own all of that.
Right, they're still working on that.
They're still working on it, but we own a big chunk of it, and those things all happen. Now we're buying open space all over the place, and the thing people don't really realize is that once you buy open space, what happens?
It goes off the tax
It gets
roll.
off the tax roll.
That's right.
Yeah. So now you've got all this, and everybody says, "Well, it's open space," but you know what? If a community owns property, it's got to be maintained.
That's it. You can't just leave it.
And there's additional costs to doing these things that people just don't think about when they're trying to do these things, and just leave it alone would be the better way to go on.
That's why we sold Haziampa Lake.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Our council did that, and people were in upheaval.
Yeah.
Because the teenagers been going out and they're getting drunk for years on senior day.
Sure.
So, and there was nobody to take care of it, nobody to maintain it, nobody to. We tried to give it to the Forest Service. They didn't want it. We tried to give it to the county. They didn't want it.
That. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we tried to give it to another entity, but nobody wanted it because they couldn't maintain it.
Yeah.
So
we haven't talked about this yet, and I don't know how much time we have before we have to take our first break. We still have a little bit. I want people to understand. I want them to know that you grew up in Prescott, Arizona. You didn't just show up. You grew up
no,
here.
yeah, I was born in Prescott.
And you went to Prescott High.
Went to Prescott High.
NAU a little bit.
Barely got out of Prescott High. I think there were 236 graduates, and I was like 229th or something. And it was just to do. I'm obviously not an idiot, but some of my teachers thought I was. But I could have cared less about going to school, although I did go 3 years of college and tried to do that. And I had to quit college because I found a wonderful opportunity with a company that paid me $400 a month and moved me to Phoenix where I couldn't pay the rent. But other than that, it was a great opportunity. So, no, it's I've had a varied path getting to where I am today, which is basically nowhere. I mean, no. Here's the
That's
deal.
not true.
Here's the deal. You have to learn now. Okay, so now I'm 81, right?
Okay.
81 years old. My God, how did that happen? You don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But now you have to find a way to embrace. And you said you were 77, so
Right.
your best years are
Yeah.
behind you.
That's right.
No,
They are.
no, and that's what you have to realize, that my best years are behind me. So what do I do now? Well, it takes me twice as long to do half the stuff I used to do. You know? So, and you have to. I've recently told you that I fell off a chair.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I used to stand on a chair when I was young and never worry about balance.
Of course not.
Of course, I stood on a folding chair with a pad on top of it, and then I ended up falling off because I don't recognize that I'm 81, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I got to the hospital, I thought, I think I'm 81. I might be 91 right now. The way
Well,
I
they
feel.
didn't say put him over there in the corner because we got younger people to take care
That's
of.
right. So Prescott's great. We got a lot of older people, and if I can help them, embrace getting old. Here's what I think of sometimes. This is a little. Do we have time for this?
Yeah, go keep going.
Okay.
Man, we have a little.
When I go to the grocery store,
Okay.
okay, and I'm of course pushing the cart.
Sure.
My wife's leading the way, and I'm right behind Jack.
That's what I do.
Here we go.
Same thing.
That's right. And I look around at all these guys stumbling around behind their carts, and I'm thinking, there goes these captains of industry. I wonder if that guy was a vice president of a big company, and now he's pushing that wife's cart around. So I'm thinking, okay, just embrace it, but don't wear one of those little hats. Just, you got to be what you got to be. And we got a 19-year-old kid sitting here going, what?
What are they
What
talking
are these
about?
old guys talking about?
Well, it's hard to relate. It's hard to relate, no matter, even if you want to, it's still hard to relate
Well, it is.
where we are in life now, and
Well, I have a 62-year-old daughter and a 60-year-old daughter and a 58-year-old. They're all my kids are senior citizens.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, and they're asking you questions like, what do you want us to do when you die?
Oh yeah, they're all. Could I have that picture when you go?
If you're here first.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be clamoring to get to my house. Oh yeah, I got so many valuable things. No, but life is good. Life is good, and that's what when I did the radio show, I always wanted to have an uplifting day.
Yeah.
I very seldom. Now I'm going to be honest about this. I never watch the news. I never watch the news.
Okay.
And it's not that I'm disinterested in the pain around me. I care. I absorb too much. And I think we all do. You watch crisis in New Orleans, and you hear this, and everything's bad news, and you absorb it, and you feel bad for these people. Well, I had to quit doing that because I don't want to feel bad. I don't have that much time to feel bad.
Yeah.
I want to feel good. So I kind of put my head in the sand and stay away from national issues. The presidency, that was a good one too.
Jimmy Carter's getting, he's going through the process of being buried and all that, and he's being on, what do they call it when they take you up to the rotunda and
put you on display.
Yeah, that's not what it is. But that's
I don't think
right.
they're not going to do that.
That's happening right now.
I'm not going to be in the courthouse.
No,
they're not. They're not going to. In fact, I'm barely remembered. I think, which is okay. That's all right.
Well, it is and it isn't because you had an effect. Like anybody who is in that position has an effect on this community, and it's good that you were there at the time you were there. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back.
Okay.
We were talking before we came on the show, and he was relating to stuff when he was growing up, and I want you to hear some of these funny little things that happened while he was growing up in Prescott, Arizona, the one that maybe you just moved to a little while ago that will be interesting to you. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Bob Show here. I'm Bob Recker, your host. We're talking to Dayton Rutkowski, former mayor of the city of Prescott. And before we got on the air, we were talking about growing up in Prescott. And you said something I thought was really, you said when you were 5 years old, you owned this city.
Basically, that was true. Well, I was born in Prescott up on the old Marina Street Hospital.
Okay.
Up there
Right,
at the end of the block.
Know right where it is.
County building now.
Yeah.
But we lived the first 5 years of my life was spent in Mare. My whole family. My dad was killed in the war.
Yeah.
So my uncles and my granddad and my grandmother, they all lived in Mare, so that's where we lived the first 5 years. My mom would come to town to work, but whatever. So then we moved to Prescott probably in 1948, and I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And there was an apartment on Cortez Street, which is still there today. I don't think they got a plaque or anything saying that's where I lived.
Yeah, no.
But so downtown is where we lived, and there's probably only 3,000-4,000 people then, maybe 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was no houses on the hills or anything. It was just downtown Prescott.
Okay.
Elks Theater. I take my quarter, go up there. I think they charge you a dime to get in, and I always remember them saying, "Oh, isn't he cute?" Because I think my mom had short pants on me even then. And across the street was the Eagle Drug Store, which right on the corner of Cortez and Gurley.
Okay.
And you'd sit
was
at
still
the
there
counter.
when
Yeah. You'd sit at the counter, look out on the street. Wonderful people there. Actually, yeah, I thought of another incident there. I probably shouldn't. I just got, well, I shoplifted something and I got caught. So that broke me of that till I was 16. But but no, you roam. There are 2 theaters downtown, like say the Elks and the Studio where Roy Rogers was. Everybody knew that was Ethel's kid. His dad was killed in the war. If he gets out of line, be sure and either tell her or grab him
Fix
by
it
the
yourself.
nape of the neck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And all the legends of Prescott, like, have a field named after Ken Lindley Field.
Police chief.
He was the police chief and a mentor. I mean, he would grab you and by the scuff of the neck, really, and straighten you out. Bill Valley, field named after him, one of my first Little League coaches. Eddie Tarrant. I mean, it was like a whole group of men that had worked with my dad at the Iron King Mine when he was worked at the Iron King Mine. So they knew my dad, and they all felt a responsibility to me. So, of course, I was lucky in that sense because everybody took care of me. But then as in my teenage years, I was just a terrible, terrible kid.
Yeah. Well, you're going to school, like, I could tell you stories about growing up in Tucson that I probably shouldn't have been doing.
Right.
We got a phone call, and we're right at a break here, so let's go ahead and tune him in. Let's talk to Kurt, see if he's there.
Hey,
Kurt, I just put on the...
Kurt is still around.
Yeah,
My
there
God,
he is.
Yeah.
You got to be
Dayton.
older than I am for crying out loud.
Hey, first of all, I've always appreciated your Raven story.
Which,
And
the Raven?
something I've always said that I learned from you is you live by the grant, you die by the grant.
There you go.
And then I'm dying to know if you're still going off that book, Ancient Fountain of Ancient Youth, or whatever it was called.
We were talking about it before
I
the
am
show.
so glad you asked me that because
I'm sure you are.
the first day I did the radio show, I told Bob, my very first day, I said, I'm going to tell you something important, and it'll probably be the only time while I'm on the air that I will say anything that's truly important. And I talked about 5 yoga exercises from a book called, write it down, I'm telling you, write it down, called The Ancient Secret of the Fountain of Youth, written by Peter Kelder. It's a real simplistic book. Even I read it. April 26, 1999, I began doing the exercises. And it's 24 years later, I'm still doing them. So if you're out there, write this down. It's like this. The rest of this is nonsense. But that is important. And Kurt, I thank you.
Well, of course.
For your longevity.
And are you playing pool anymore?
I haven't played pool in quite a while since.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah. So your life changes as you get older.
Tell me about it. Yes. Anyway, hey, thanks for taking my call, and still love you, man.
All right, Kurt. Thanks for talking to you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Kurt, now see that's amazing, really, because he was a loyal caller. I remember when we first started, we used to beg for calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he calls all the time, and
Yeah,
I
still
appreciate it
calls.
very
Well,
much.
sure you
because
do.
he asks good questions.
Yeah, no, Kurt's he's well informed. He worries too much about national stuff.
He probably does. Yeah.
I try to lighten him up a little bit.
All right. Well, Jim Lammers is on the phone too, and hey, Scotty, go ahead and put him through, and we'll hold him off. We'll hold him through the break, okay? But go ahead and put him on now, and we'll talk to him quick before the.
Well, I just want to tell Dayton I've got a spot between, my skull collection. I've got a crow and a pig, javelina, and I got a spot for Dayton. He's wondering what he's going to do.
You're going to stuff me? Is that the plan or what?
Yeah, well, you know what? I do that stuff. I know how to use muriatic acid and everything.
Hey, oh, that's great.
I don't want you to feel like you're left out, Dayton. Some of us are really, really concerned about what's going to happen to you.
Well, I'm a little concerned myself.
Good to talk to you, bud.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, Jim. How you doing? All right?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Hey,
I'm
Jim,
glad.
I want you to. We got 40 seconds before the break at the bottom of the hour. I want you to hang on because I'd love to hear your comments about what you were thinking about what Dayton was doing when he was mayor.
Oh, well,
I'd like to get yours.
okay. I'll wait.
Okay.
I think
we
I-
still have 30
You know
seconds.
what?
I think I was an
I
inspiration
just got
to
to
you.
admit that he looked pretty good in those sweatpants.
You used to wear those shorts.
I know. I didn't know if I was looking at a girl or a guy.
Yeah, they were.
Somebody would see him on Whiskey Row, and he'd say, "Well, I'm the mayor," and they said, "No, that's not possible."
No, a lot of people. When I'd be at the soda fountain, we still owned the soda fountain. I'd be singing behind the bar,
Yeah.
and somebody would come in and go, "Somebody told me you're the mayor," and I said, "Oh hell, they do that."
We'll be right back. We'll be right back after this mess. And we're back here on the Bob Show. Thanks for sticking with us. We're talking to Dayton Rutkowski, and I think Jim Lamerson's still on the phone.
I'm still there.
Okay. Yeah. Before we get back to Dayton and some of the memories he's gotten, there's tons of them. We'll never get to all of them. But what do you remember about what was going on, Jim, back in the early 90s when Dayton was mayor of Prescott?
Well, I remember that we had a lot of socialists that had moved into the area from California, probably. And I remember Dayton standing up and saying, you know what, we're not going to put up with this crap. And, you know, I liked when Dayton was a mayor.
Yeah, I did too.
Simpler times, Jim. Simpler times.
I know. But you know what? At the end of the day, we need more people that have the chutzpah to say, you know what, guys, we're not going to put up with this stuff. We're Prescott, Arizona.
Yeah.
Well, that can be a problem when you get so much growth so fast. People come in, they don't even know the history, basically, which is okay. I mean, I don't expect people to come in here knowing the history, but they need to somehow be incorporated into the community. I always felt that the people that from out of, like we had 3 Californians on the council before I got here, before we took office, and they all meant well, and they all wanted to give back in their later years, which is great. The problem was they had no knowledge of Prescott, no knowledge of our water issues, no knowledge of our relationship with Chino Valley and Prescott Valley.
And the tribe.
And the tribe.
But the fact of the matter is, you know, a lot of people want to move here, and then they want to change who we are. And what they need to do is blend with who we are instead of trying to trade who we are.
Well, keeping Prescott. Jim just wrote an editorial to the newspaper, which they printed, by the way, and you're saying the same thing. It's I don't know how you quantify that issue, but it's important that we do.
Well, you do.
Yeah, it's not just about all the historical things that are here in Prescott. It's an attitude. The attitude at the time that I remember stuff was you stuck your nose in your own business and kept it out of everybody else's. And you know what? We have a lot of people that have moved into the area, and God bless them for bringing their money here and all of their expertise and everything else. But don't try and change who we are.
Well, that's true. The thing I regret is that they come in here and they pay retail for all this stuff, the houses and stuff. They drive the prices up. So how are the young people going to get a house?
Yeah,
I mean, which is the American dream, right?
Yeah.
Own your own home.
Yeah.
But we've pretty well put that out of the picture right now. So,
all right, Jim. Well, I appreciate you calling.
All right.
Very
Well,
much.
you guys have a good rest of the show, and I'll listen to you for a while.
All right. Thanks.
Nice talking to you, Jim.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right. If you're thinking about calling, it's area code 928-541-1016. And one of the things we were talking about on break again was that Dayton has an association with Hollywood. and I want you to tell the story about when you were mayor and what happened with Hollywood.
Well, I had went to Hollywood in the 70s, in the 74, 75 in there, or 76, 8, I don't know, for 3 years trying to become an actor or whatever. I became an excellent waiter. Ended up working at a soul food restaurant the last 6 months. Finally decided, you know, I'm out of money and my values are kind of dripping a little here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I came home and then, you know, met my wife and we had the bar and all the business, ran for mayor. I had done some plays in town, to Inherit the Wind and Arsenic and Old Lace and whatever, 4, 5, 6 plays. So I had a friend that was an actor, a guy named Gary Kirk, who had an agent down in Phoenix. So I did a play with him, and this is while I'm mayor, and he said, let me introduce you to my agent down in Phoenix. So I introduced Ruth. She introduced Ruth Layton to me and signed me up. So I started going on auditions and got a few jobs. I mean, I made 6 movies, had 1 line or 2 lines or maybe 4 lines if I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
But as long as you had a line, you were making decent money. In fact, the day that I was running in 95, when the election was coming up, I was in Tuba City filming a ABC after-school special where I was playing the villain and got beat up by a 10-year-old kid.
That
Anyway, so that was my big part, right?
Yeah,
That was a big part. That was after school special. It was great. Well, I called my wife, called Jackie on Sunday, and the editorial had come out in the paper.
Oh no.
Yeah, saying that I was no longer going to be the mayor, basically. That
You lost the
right. That I could tell by the tenure of the article that this was curtains, buddy. You're pretty well done. And of course, then the acting career, that was about all I ever did. I got tired of running around the state doing auditions and stuff.
Yeah. Were you ever in a movie that somebody would recognize?
I was in Roswell.
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 Okay.
That was
Yeah.
Dwight Yoakam. I
Yeah.
had one scene with Dwight Yoakam. I had a wonderful line. I made a great move on the desk. The director said, "I love that move. I love that move."
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I had one line. I said, "You said it was a weather balloon."
That was your line?
That was it. Then I did another one called Black Day, Blue Night, and I had one line. "You're looking good tonight, Renda." "Shut up, you jackass." That was my one line. Jericho Fever. Now I played a gas station attendant. And that was pretty good. I had a couple scenes in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
Yeah, but who can say that? I mean,
But that came to me in Prescott. I will go to Hollywood chasing a dream and forget about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I stay in Prescott and just mind my own business, basically being mayor or whatever, and it comes to me.
Yeah.
So maybe it teaches me you don't have to go running all over the world to get what you need.
There you go. Well, we've got one more story I'm going to get to as far as that kind of stuff goes. So let's do that right after this break. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And we're back on the Bob Show. We're talking to Dayton Rutkowski. I'm Bob Recker, the host here, and we're talking about being in the movies and stuff that that the average person just doesn't have those. It's kind of neat that happened to you, but it all came to you because you were here instead of chasing it. It
Right.
actually came to you
Came
here,
to me
which is
here.
interesting.
Yeah.
But while you're here, you were also doing stuff like. Singing like Elvis Presley on the bar at the Copper Penny, I hear, and
Wow.
you were also doing performances at the Elks Theater.
Well, that was while
Bob
I was
Bell.
mayor. Bob
Yeah.
Bell came to me and said he all knew I could sing a little
Yeah,
bit or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and said that he'd like to do a charity event where he would donate $500 to something. I don't know what it, but
Yeah.
anyway, $500 for each show I did. So I did it twice, I think. And I'd sing Jimmy Buffett and then a couple Elvis songs.
Okay.
And actually get to rehearse with the band, which I was always excited to do.
Sure.
And that went well, because the Elks Theater, when it's packed, it's a beautiful place, because I don't know, 300-400 people maybe.
Oh yeah.
5 or 6.
Uh,
So that's always a thrill, and especially for a kid that grew up here going to the Elks Theater when he's 5 years old.
yeah.
So a lot of those dreams come true on a local level. You don't get the national, I'm a movie star stuff.
Yeah, but still.
But it's a lot of those little, you don't have to sit there and think, well, gee, I wish I would have tried that.
Yeah. I was sitting in the audience one time, and it was a Christmas time or something, and they said, I see Bob Recker out there in the audience. Why don't you come up here? We're going to have a who can do the best chicken dance contest. So I'm up on the Elks Theater, trying to be a chicken dance, and I won. And I got a $25 gift certificate or something to Murphy's to have dinner or something.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Now you could have a cocktail.
Really. That's kind of funny. Oh my gosh. I'm trying.
What else?
Well,
one thing. Let me just say this about Recker.
Okay.
Because there's always a guy. I was runner-up most witty in the senior class, Prescott High School, 1961. Runner-up most witty, Bob Martin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bob Martin was wittiest.
Okay.
Because he was dating Rachel Schlosshauer, which made him funny right away. Bob was a dear friend, and he passed away several years ago. And
Okay.
He was my neighbor. We lived.
Oh, okay.
So we were talking as he was getting ready to face the whatever, right? And I said, with you gone, I now assume the reign of most witty. And he said, you SOB. Yeah. Anyway, so.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No, this is what, what were we talking about?
You were talking about being a runner-up and the most witty.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
most witty in senior class. Graduating at the tail end of the class. We talked about that. I did when I went to college. I worked full-time, was married at that time. And as college came, a couple kids here.
Sure.
Kid at 19, kid at 21, kid at 23.
Yeah.
Living the, station wagon dream,
Yeah.
I'm going to own a station wagon and a house, so.
Yeah. I worked my way through school, too, and it drives me crazy when people are borrowing all this money and doing all these things, and then they don't want to pay it back.
Right.
And, we were eating spaghetti with ketchup on it for literally years because we had no money.
Yeah. I always liked my job better than school.
Because
you work full time, right?
Yeah.
And I ended up working in Flagstaff at a Phillips 66 station, right on Route 66. There was no interstate.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right on Route 66. And I had a sharp uniform with my name on it.
Yeah, cool.
Light gray shirt, dark gray pants, Phillips 66.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That was when you went into a gas station and they washed every window. They checked your oil. They checked everything. Tire pressure. Yeah. Well, those tires look out of balance. You better let me balance them for you. No, well, there was cement road rather than asphalt.
Okay.
So when you go over to go, the guy come in and said, "There's something wrong with my tires." I said, "Well, they're probably just out of balance. That's all." Because I made $5 every time I balanced some tires. So. But that was one of my favorite jobs. But
oh my gosh!
Because Route 66, you had everybody chasing their dream. They were going to California.
Yeah.
Rather than leaving California, they were actually heading there because it was a beautiful place and looking for their pot of gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of stories on Route 66. I mean. Whatever there was, you could see it there.
Well, we were talking about the old train station.
Yeah.
And what that was like growing up too, and how it was. The Hacienda was vacant for a period of time when we first got here. There was a coffee bar where the fancy restaurant is now. And everybody would go there and drink coffee, and they had the best coffee at the Hacienda back in those days.
Yeah, and they renovated it finally.
And a guy came along, and I remember some entrepreneur guy, and all I can remember is he was bald,
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of money.
Right.
And he was being taken advantage of because he wasn't local. He wasn't watching what was going on. And it closed again.
Yeah.
And then it opened again. And now
You
it
know
is
the
what it
building
is.
next door, the fancy building.
AT&T.
Okay, that used to be the phone
company. AT&T
phone company.
Yeah, sure.
Where they had all the banks of plug-in operators, and my mother used to tell me, call the operator and ask her to wake us up in the morning.
Yeah.
So Bill Valley's wife was working there, and I go, hi. She go, oh, hi, Dayton. How's your mom? Oh, she's good. She wants to know, could you wake us up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Oh, sure, Dayton. We'll be happy to call you.
Yeah. All right, we got to take one more break real quick, so let's go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. And we're back here on the Pop Show. We're having a great. I'm learning stuff I did not know actually that happened. I didn't know that you could do that.
A lot of it I've got hidden too that you're not going to ever learn about, and there's a lot of notoriety.
Oh yeah. You know, I don't know. Nostalgia kind of grabs you sometimes, but. At the same time, it's funny when you look back at some of the stuff that we thought were kind of important or needed to get done or whatever. Right. And somebody named Brenda called and said thank you for all the laughs and memories. She's not on the air.
Oh,
she called off the air over the years. You immediately put on you ready to go.
I want to talk to Brenda. Come on, Brenda. Why don't you hang on a minute here and find out? Especially if you're saying something nice.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever get? Somebody who was so mad at you when you were mayor that they wrote nasty letters or had people threaten you or anything?
I close to a death threat. A developer had a guy working for him. He was like a cowboy, and I was giving him fits over this subdivision where we weren't gonna approve it, basically. And he told me. The developer told me that I made him start smoking again. So he had a guy that worked for him called the Cowboy. So one day I'm in Murphy's, and I was talking to the Cowboy, and he said, he's really upset with you. And I asked him if he wanted me to kill you. And he said, not right now. So, and then
put your things back on. Steve Pierce is on the phone.
Oh, Steve Pierce.
Hey, Steve, you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, one of my favorite senators.
Hey, I'm enjoying this. Dayton's great. He is a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you're listening. You got a comment about something you remember?
I remember him being the best mayor we had, and I don't know how many years, and that still holds. You need people like him to be mayor that have some history here.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Steve, and it's been a long time since I talked to you. How you doing, okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
You know, there are people that are listening that don't know who you are, Steve, and I'm glad you called because you were a big part of the history of Prescott also.
Well,
And-
I don't know about that.
Well,
but,
we do.
You know,
Hey, Steve.
I just, Dayton, he didn't let my arrest record get out.
Yeah. You know, Steve, I was thinking back. You and I used to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah. You know, you get older, you get shorter.
Man, you're telling me I'm down to about 5'6" now. Thank God I've kept my weight off, though. I keep shrinking.
I never got over 5'6".
Well, I did when I lied. I had to lie about it. You know, I was.
Yeah, well, stay away from the cold water.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm glad you're on there, Dayton. People don't know you. They don't know me. We're history, and I know you did a great job. You did a lot of service there to the city, and I'm glad that you're on the air again, and appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Your words are too kind. No, he's a great guy.
Yeah, good. Glad you called. Thank you.
Speaking about a regular guy that represented us well down at the state, I mean, he was a common sense kind of guy.
Absolutely.
And that's what he's talking about with me. Common sense can go a long way.
Yeah, it can. Absolutely. And one of the things that we talked about, too, is that when federal money comes along, you got to be kind of careful about those things. And you had that attitude when you were mayor.
Oh, yeah. I've tried to fight the grants, but I think we defeated one grant in the whole time. In fact, the Wall Street Journal wrote an article about small-town mayor fighting the bureaucracy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was complaining about the deficit then. That's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And what is it now? It's probably triple what it was when I was worried about it. So apparently we can just borrow till we die. I don't know.
You know, a funny thing happened to me when I was on council. Mary Ann Suttles and I shared an office, and one day I was saying, "Hey, you ever get any hate mail?" And she goes, "Yeah, every once in a while I got something." And I said, "Well, I got this letter here, and it's kind of thick, you know." And so I opened it, and there was some news articles in there, and this is the funny part. There was whoever sent it, and I have no idea, made a big circle on something that was in an article, and then put an arrow down, and it said, You are as stupid as President George Bush. Okay. Well, I went over to gave it to somebody and the cops came over and took it, and they took it and they were gone and everything and I said, wow. I said, what, you know, and they said, well, yeah, they took it because they mentioned the President of the United States. It had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I was like, my first day on the job at City Hall, I pulled into the number one parking spot right there. I love that, having that parking spot.
Yeah.
I walked into the manager's office, and there's a big black bag with a yellow bow on it.
Okay.
And I'm thinking the staff went ahead and got me something to welcome me to City Hall.
Right.
You know, so I told the guy, I said, "Oh, man, you shouldn't." The guy said, "We didn't do it." I said, "No, really." No, he said, "Somebody brought it in for you." I said, "Okay, well, let's see what it is." I opened it up and it's a bag of garbage. And the guy says, "Now that you're mayor, maybe you can do something about that." First day on the job. Yeah, okay. I'm happy to. I took it out and put it in the dumpster. Okay. And, figured, okay, it's part of my job.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious. I'm trying to think, you know, some of the things that people don't really know about, like Whippazuma. We call it Whippazuma.
Right, Whippazuma.
And it wasn't there.
No, it wasn't there.
And go ahead.
That was the result of the '86 election.
Okay.
When the Prescott Forward, which Steve Pierce still remembers the Prescott Forward, I'm sure, when we all ran as a group of concerned business, a slate, yeah, that's the word. And along with that plan, Sam Steiger knew the state construction guy. He drew up plans showing Whippazuma, because that was a mountain there, folks. There was you couldn't get through there. There was no LaGuardia Bridge.
Street. Right. Yeah.
Right. So
no LaGuardia.
There was no LaGuardia. So he come up with those plans for the city, and we pushed that. It had the Gail Gardner route on it.
Yep.
It had the Willow Creek Road on it.
Yep.
It had the whole expanse of that.
None of that was there yet. Yeah.
None of it was there. And so, you go out Willow Creek Road. It was dirt road after you got out a little ways. So that's the kind of thing locally that you can make a difference in your community.
Yep.
I know on the federal level, the state level, it's very difficult to make any kind of progress because of the bureaucracy. But if you're willing to cut the bureaucracy and just get to the problem, the issue, locally you can make a difference in your life.
Yeah, that's what I'm griping about Highway 69 about right now.
Yeah.
Same kind of attitude. Let's do something, get it done, take care of it ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, we got about a half a minute left. Dayton, I'm so glad you came in. I hope you kind of want to come back and do this once in a while again. It'd be fun.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I
you know, you're looking for relevancy, right, Bob? You know,
of course.
So I must be relevant. They put me on the radio for crying out loud. You know? Exactly. So no, that's it.
All
Just,
right, folks.
Hang in there, everybody.
Yeah,
We love you.
Good talking to you. Goodbye to JP and the professor, and we'll see the first Tuesday of